Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Ethan Collier, and I chair the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. And I want to go over a couple things before we get started. There have been some slides playing overhead that kind of walk you through the procedures of today's meeting. Planning Commission has received this packet in the mail within the last week, and Planning Commission's had the opportunity to review it in advance of today's meeting. And so at times we move pretty quickly through the agenda, so make sure to follow along pretty closely. In each case, I will read off the case number and the address of where the case is located, and I will ask if there's any opposition present. When I ask for, if you've listened to this 1,000 times, I'm sorry, I will have to say it 1,000 more times, because a lot of you might be here for the first time. When I ask if you're here in opposition, what I'm asking for is that's an invitation for you to let me know that you want to speak in regards to the case. So you may not necessarily be opposed to the applicant's request, but you may have some questions or some concerns, or you may have some statements that you want to make. When I ask if you're here in opposition in regards to a case, make sure to raise your hand, because that way we can slow the meeting down and make sure that we hear from folks that have taken time out of their day to show up and, talk to us. After I see that we've got opposition to a case, I'll ask for a staff presentation. Staff will give their presentation. Then we'll have the applicant come up to this mic on the right side of the room. The applicant will have a total of 7 minutes to present the reason for the request. After they get done, they'll sit down. Opposition will be able to come up and speak. If there's a lot of people here in opposition, I would say get out of your chair. Do not stay in your chair. Come over to the right side of the room and line up down this wall so that I can see how many people want to speak, because the total time allotted for opposition is only 9 minutes. And so if the first person comes up to the mic and it looks like they're going to maybe be a little long-winded, I will from time to time have to interrupt people and make sure that everybody that's shown up has the opportunity to speak. When you come up to the mic, state your name and address, and whatever it is you want to say, make sure to direct it all towards the Planning Commission. And one other thing, I will apologize in advance if I have to cut you off. I will from time to time. And then the applicant will have 2 minutes to respond to everything that's heard by opposition. The Planning Commission's free to at any time ask questions of people that are here in opposition or the applicants or staff, but all the conversation that takes place today will be between the person at the microphone and the Planning Commission, or Planning Commission and staff. So make sure if you have any questions to direct those questions to the Planning Commission. Then we'll take action on the case. In most cases, we are making a recommendation to either the County Commission or City Council. And so make sure to follow along for those follow-up dates. Mr. Schultz, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay. I want to cover subdivision plats, variances, and old business before we jump into the new business agenda. And so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, first item under subdivision plats and variances, SD 2023-0008, and this is Serenity Cove, lots 1 through 90, and it has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2 on the agenda, SD 2023-0009, is a final plat for the farm at Clift Mill, Phase 3, lots 15 through 34 and 830 Equestrian Drive, and has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. For the record, Mr. Matthews recused himself. Next case, SD 2023-0010, and this is a preliminary plat at Edgestone, Phase 4 and 5, lots 45 through 88, and has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Matthews recused himself. Last item under subdivision plats and variances, item 4 on our agenda is SD 2023-0011, and this is Mowbray Pike, lots 1 through 53, located at the 2600 to 3000 block of Mowbray Pike, and it has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve. It has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Byrd recused himself. All right. We're under old business, and we've got 4 cases here. And maybe 3, right? 3 cases under old business. And so we've heard these cases before. And so I'll read off the case number. If you're here in opposition, make sure to raise your hand. We've got case 2022-0262, and this is located at 7707 Lee Highway. And it's an application to rezone from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone to UGC Urban. It's Urban General Commercial Zone, and it's been deferred. We've got a staff recommendation to defer for 30 days. Is there any opposition present? You're here in opposition? Okay. And is the applicant present? All right. Are you in opposition to it being deferred for 30 days? We have a motion to defer for 30. We have a staff recommendation to defer for 30 days. So I don't know what Planning Commission is going to elect to do, but I'm just curious. All right. I'd like to hear from the applicant. You know the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Price, MAP Engineers. And if I might just indulge for a second, also the next case, which is 22063, which is the same applicant and basically a adjoining property nearby. We would ask for both of those cases to be deferred for 30 days to give staff the opportunity to then make a recommendation. And then we will come back before the commission then hopefully next month. And then case 3, which is 220264 Cummings Highway, we have made a request for staff to withdraw that case.
Okay. Hold on one second. Question for staff. Why have you made the recommendation to defer for 30 days? I hear the applicant asking for that, but
There was an amendment several months ago. You might remember in front of this planning commission to amend the C2 zone to remove density requirements. That has since got to city council. Some tweaks have been made to city council. They're moving, I think, towards a special exceptions permit to allow these to move forward. That's on vote tomorrow night at city council. I'm not sure what the action will be. So therefore, that's why we're asking for deferral. Pending action tomorrow night at city council.
Okay.
On a special permit, whether that moves forward or withdrawn. I'm not
So
sure.
then when we see this again, it'll be, will you have a recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, in regards to case 2022-0262, what's the will of the commission? We have a motion to defer for 30 days, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And in regards to case 2022-0263, we have a motion to defer, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And in regards to case 2022-0264, the applicant's requested to withdraw this. It's on our agenda. We need to make a motion to have it. We have a motion to withdraw this. It has been seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
It's my understanding that city council is going to withdraw the C2 zoning request change tomorrow. That's what I was told by my city council member.
Yes.
I've also
So those two cases will be back on our agenda in 30 days. The motion was made to withdraw this third item, case 2022-0264, and it was properly seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Schultz, do we get an award if we hold this pace?
You do.
Okay.
Wait for the next month.
Yeah.
That's your reward.
Yeah. You just defer them all. All right, Mr. Payne, you ready? Okay. All right. All right. Well, it's unusual that we're able to move through that much of the agenda that quickly. So, I want to get a good understanding of who's here and why you're here. I have maybe some idea of what that might look like. If you're here in regards to the staff updates on the Mountain Creek Road corridor study, could you raise your hand? Okay. Thank you. Just because of the sheer number of people that have come, I try to make effort to get as many people out of this room as quickly as possible. And so I think if we're able to take this staff update for the Mountain Creek Road corridor study and move that to the top of the agenda, we'll be able to get 2/3 of the people in this room out and back to their productive lives. So if we could get the staff update on the Mountain Creek Road corridor study at the top of the agenda.
I saw Karen walk in. She's somewhere behind me. There she is. I'll sort of introduce this and then I don't know, Dara, if you want to come up front and present. And we do have some slides quickly to go through. So the Mountain Creek Corridor study began, well, I'm sure Dara will tell us in just a moment, in the last year. Obviously, this is an area of the city that has a lot of diversity of housing and has recent zoning requests and things going on in the past couple of years. And so City Council gave us direction to try to update this study or develop a study for the area, mainly focused on land use issues, but we did have a number of public meetings and got into some analysis of other issues. We did a couple of these studies last year. We did a Rossville Boulevard study. We did a Shepherd community update to their plan. And it's my position as we go forward, we're about to have underway citywide, pretty major, I'd say the largest planning process we've ever really undertaken in the city at one time. And so it's going to involve pretty major traffic studies and other things that will happen. And so it's my position that we should try to just let a number of these studies that we've developed, let them roll into the update of the area plans and the citywide planning that we're going to do this coming year. So that's kind of where we are today. But I'm going to go ahead and let Derek go through the presentation.
Sure. I'm Dara Epstein. I'm senior planner here. I led the Mountain Creek study. If you'd like to go to the next slide, please. Just to give you a high-level overview, we had, I think, 2 community meetings last fall, and we had one this year as well. Next slide. We covered all the issues from environmental conditions to transportation, housing, and development. Next slide. Essentially, transportation is, we found from our department is that the roads are currently sized as is for the current traffic. Next slide. And zoning, our recommendations at roads for zoning is to maintain the current density across the corridor. Slide. Natural resources, some of the high level details from that is that there are concerns about the steep slopes and floodplains throughout the area, as well as interest in new parks, recreation, and amenities. This will come up when we show you the place type maps as well. Next slide. The big addition that we took on with this round of the community engagement process was that we created a place type maps or an interim place type maps for the community. As Dan mentioned, we want to make sure to clarify that this is an interim place types map, meaning it's not going to be the final one. And that when we have the upcoming area planning process, any suggestion of changes to this or refinement of that can be updated during that process. As you'll see, most of the area is moderate to low density residential, and again, we want to maintain the current density throughout the border. Of particular note is the quarry site along Reeds Lake Road. Since the site is privately held, we cannot actually list it as a park under the place type preserve, which is at this time our only park designation, since it's privately held. And essentially, there are areas that are considered in the parks and outdoor plan for future potential natural resources parks assets. Next slide. This will be within the Area 2 Red Bank Hickson plan. And then the northern area as well is mostly conservation subdivisions. You have larger lots, but there are some concerns with that as well for the amount of open space that we preserve. We want to preserve the more rural character area in that larger part. And most of the commercial is designated towards the clustered area, towards Signal Mountain Road. That's all I have for you today. Happy to take any questions if you have them.
Will there be follow-up with the community in between now and then?
So in between now and then, I think we're open, receptive to receiving more feedback, but essentially the next step would be the Area 2 planning process, which should be kicking off sometime early this year.
Okay. And then Dan, do you foresee when that Area 2 plan would be? Do you have a schedule for that, or any idea what that would look like?
We'll kick off the planning process in the next month or so, as soon as we get our consultant under contract. I kind of see these areas that sort of preceded the rest of the area plan and the rest of the city as just being more recent updates. They got kind of extra service in a way. So I think it's good that we've done this study and we've anticipated some of the issues in this area. But again, I think this study area will benefit from the additional traffic and transportation planning we will do with our consultant. And so I don't, again, if the council person in this area wants to try to adopt this and take it through council, obviously that's that council person's intention. That's we're prepared. The land use map that's in here basically represents the current zoning out there. So there's not been any major rethinking of this corridor through this study. I think we feel like it's a great community. It's got a diversity of housing and apartments and other things now. And I think our position is that we just tried to represent through this place types map what is there today in terms of what's legally allowed under the zoning.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for staff? Thank you. So the folks that showed up here, I'm assuming you want to speak, or you were just wanting to see. You do wish to speak? If you'd like to speak, come on up to the mic. The total time allotted for anything that you want to share with us is 9 minutes. So is it only the two of you that want to speak in regards to this area plan? If anybody else wants to speak in regards to this area plan, please do come on up. Go ahead. State your name and address.
Bob Geyer, 4143 Quarry View, Chattanooga. First of all, I want to state that we support the need for this plan. And I'd like to thank Chip Henderson for recognizing the need, as well as thank Dara, Karen, Dan from the RPA staff for their work to make this report to the level of quality it is today. However, we think the report needs some more work, and I have three key areas I want to talk about. The first is traffic. The information provided in section 3.4 and 4.3 is contentious, as was voiced at meetings at the Red Bank High School by our residents. We were promised a thorough traffic study at a future date. The traffic study, when completed, will be the sound technical basis for prioritizing actions to resolve our traffic issues. As written, this report can be construed to be a rationalization to do nothing. So my recommendation is please remove all discussion of traffic from this report and add an introductory statement that our traffic study will be undertaken to address traffic issues and thus complete the plan. Second issue would be apartments and density. Earlier in the report, it states that additional apartment complexes in the Mountain Creek corridor may not serve the best interests of the people. Section 5.3, then, the summary of recommendations, for some reason, is silent on that earlier observation. The current makeup of the corridor by dwelling type is 62%. That is 1,843 total of 2,973 dwellings. That 62% is apartments. 21.6% are R1, which is 642, and 16.4% are attached single-family units. To get an understanding of what that looks like elsewhere, a 2021 NYU Furman study, which looks the same as several other studies that I looked at on your net, surveyed 800 cities across the United States and its states. For those mid-sized cities, the ratio of owner-occupied to renter-occupied, the ratio across these 800 cities was found to be 55-45, and that's opposed to 35-65 for our corridor. And also single-family residents comprise 63% of those 800 surveyed cities. And in our case, it's 37%. So therefore, I conclude that the corridor is disproportionately stuffed with apartments. Therefore, I would like the report to be reviewed and please incorporate direct language recommending no new apartments and also eliminate discussion about middle missing dwellings that encourages PUDs for density. And good planning must address traffic resolution before additional density. And last, the issue that is the heart of the matter for many people in the area is the quarry. The space was promised to the community as a buffer for high density at one time. There is no other accessible green space to many residents of the Mountain Creek area, so we value this green space and its water resources. And we would ask that in Section 5.3 we provide language that recommends preserving this as a green space as well as Reed's Lake. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jim Faulkner. I live on Mountain Creek Road, and I applaud everything that Bob is saying in spades. We totally agree with it. One thing the 5,000 some odd people agreed on who signed the petition against the Pratt development, which was universally vetoed by the city council on 2 occasions, was we didn't want any more apartments in Mountain Creek at all. We worked together to get this brochure to support a park in that area, which we agreed on would be a better use of that property. We feel like it would be good to add this information to the report. I agree with what Bob said about the traffic and what he's saying about the quarry. We have a lake in here, it's a historic lake. It's been there for over 100 years, yet it's not been mentioned as such. We have a report and a map from 1935 that shows that lake on a drawing, and the Planning Commission has that as such. It's a linchpin for $100 million worth of homes around it. And so we really would like to get this in the plan in some way mentioned. It'd be better to have it in the plan than have it repeatedly mentioned over and over outside. But that's basically what it is. We do support the report pretty much. This area, though, this park area that we're talking about, the quarry, Montclair. I was here in 1972 when the developers promised a golf course, and it's been promised forever. It's in an area that is full of springs, creeks, lakes, ponds, streams, and it's just, I've got information here of a lady that's got $7,000 worth of jacks holding her house up out of the water, and she's just at the edge of this property. In other words, it's very tenuous to develop this particular part. It's a great place for a park. Bo Watson is working right now to secure some state funding. I understand the developer would like to sell it. And I know our city councilman, Chip Henderson, is working accordingly. So we just want to support no apartments in the area and add this report at least to the plan, unless you want it delayed until they can add it in another fashion. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank
can we get Mr. Faulkner's address? I just got Mountain Creek Road. I didn't get the physical address for the record.
4703.
703.
How much time do we have left? We have 3 minutes left.
Oh, goody. 3 whole minutes for a woman to talk. I am Brooke Bradley King, and I reside at 881 Wellstone Drive. A year plus ago, I started this rampage to stop a developer from putting 220 apartments across the street from where I live. That's rather selfish on my part, But the bigger picture was to get where we are, which is to have a land use plan. All throughout the process, my neighbors, both at the Oxford, across the street on Mountain Creek, at the Lantern, have discussed traffic and what an issue it is and how difficult it is for people to enjoy walking on Mountain Creek, getting their kids to school, backing their cars out of their driveways, whatever the issues are. Traffic seems to be a problem all unto itself. The whole goal was to relieve some of the density of the development that is happening and has happened on Mountain Creek Road. Mountain Creek Road is used as a pass-through from Hickson Pike over to Signal Mountain Boulevard. A lot of the cars that come through that road don't live there. They don't care. We do. We are totally in line with the land use plan. We appreciate Dan and Dara and everybody's hard work. Chip has been absolutely wonderful, Chip Henderson, to work with. He has supported us 100%. The neighborhood supports the land use plan. I know this group would like to have it deferred to have those items included. I'm not sure that it's a good thing, and I'm not sure it's a bad thing. I just want you all to know we agree with what Dan has programmed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We had not planned on taking any action on the land use plan, so we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate the comments. I think it's been helpful for staff to be able to hear from you. I think as this process moves forward, make sure to stay engaged. At some point, we will have an area plan come before Planning Commission that includes all the work that's being done now. And, I think you'll know when that's happening. And if you've got any comments on it, when we do actually take action on it, which will be when the area plan comes back before Planning Commission, I'm sure you'll know and be able to let us know if you've got any concerns with it. So thank you all. To the top of the agenda, first item under new business is case 2023-0027, and this is located at 821 East Main Street, and it's an application to rezone from C2 to UGC, and this has a staff recommendation to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Is the applicant present? And you're familiar with the conditions that staff has recommended? Okay. We have a motion to approve with conditions, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case is a mandatory referral. It's item 2 under new business. It's 2023-0030, and it's located at 1817 Ridgewood Drive. Hey, folks, if you could move on out of the room, that would be helpful. It's 1817 Ridgewood Drive, and it has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case, item 3 on the agenda is case 2023-0031, and it's located at 3734, 3800, 3904, 3914 St. Elmo Avenue. This case has a staff recommendation to approve with some amended conditions. Is there any opposition present? All right. And, is the applicant present? All right. And do you have any comments on the amended conditions? None? That's okay. Yeah. It's good to have none. We like none. We have a motion to approve the staff recommendation, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Byrd recused himself. So did Mr. Lyle. Anybody else? There you go. Item 3 on the agenda. Item 4 on the agenda is mandatory referral 2023-0032. And this is located at 3800 and 3900 block of St. Elmo Avenue, and has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Byrd, Mr. Lyle recused themselves. I'm going to turn the meeting over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda. It's case number 2023-0033. It's located at 2406 East 19th Street, 1902 South Watkins. It's to rezone from R1 residential zone and R2 residential zone to C3 central business zone with conditions. It does have a staff recommendation to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition? The applicant represented, are you good with the conditions? Okay. I have a motion to approve. It has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next case on the agenda under government mandatory referrals is MR 2023-0029, and it's located at 6000 Cornelison Road, and it has a staff recommendation to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Noted. Mr. Holland recused. Next item on the agenda is amendments and resolutions. I do not read these on the record. They are on our agenda listed as such. It's item 1 under amendments and resolutions. Is there any opposition present? Hearing none. What's the will of the commission?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one more staff update for the City of Chattanooga subdivision regulations incorporating the street standards. Dan, do you want to provide that update?
Sure. Yes. We had a special called meeting back in January. At that meeting was there was a lot of discussion had, and we still needed some work to be done on that. So we have the plan implementation of Public Works. There's a meeting work session scheduled on March 27th at 1:00 at the DRC to have discussions on those street standards with the public and the developers. Whoever wants to attend that meeting, it's open to the public from 1 to 3. I think CDOT has been moving through those standards from January, trying to move a lot of that, what was yellow on the document to green. So we're moving closer and closer to that. And that is the purpose of the March 27th session, to go through that line item by line item, potentially with the developers on March 27th, and then bring something to the Planning Commission in April, either for adoption or deferral again, or
No. We're going to, no deferrals.
May.
okay.
Well, we're
Shoot for May.
yeah, we have a lot on the agenda next month, as you may have heard. A lot of cases. We really do want to try to get to a point of where we have almost, agreement among Public Works, administration, development community, and others. I don't see a need to bring it to the Planning Commission until we're ready to do that. But I think this meeting this month is intended to be a very informal meeting with whoever shows up with at the RPA DRC office.
How is it being communicated to the folks that came that were so vocal in opposition to the street standards?
I believe Brandon Sutton had emailed the same general folks who'd been emailing us this last year. I think they got the same email. We'll put it on our website. If not, we have to advertise the meeting, which we'll be doing next week in the paper.
Okay.
And again, I think what we're trying to do is just where there is some, where the Public Works or there's some policy issues, just to push those up as far to City Council if we have to make sure we all understand what those policy questions are. But again, I think it's, we're not in a hurry on this update. And so we're trying to just make sure we get as close as we can to agreement before we bring it back to the planning commission. Because it is the planning commission's final, the planning commission takes action on subdivision regulations. But it is a kind of an interesting way that state law treats it, in that it's kind of a joint duty of public works and planning commission and RPA that, you know, we have to basically get to some level of agreement is ideal. So.
Thank you.
I hope when we bring it back to planning commission, it'll be, you know, something where we have consensus or close to it.
Is there any comment on that? You can say no. And I know you don't very often, but I mean, this would be, if ever there were a day to just sit it out, you could do it right now.
I know. I'm trying to get you out of here too. I'm just a little concerned 2 hours will be enough time, honestly.
Well, if it's not enough time, it's not enough time.
Yeah. So if that takes another meeting, I completely understand.
It's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've got a question, and possibly even Dan. When this comes before us, when will it? April 10th?
Sounds like May, I'm hearing, depending on what the outcome
Okay,
is.
but we will still be able to offer amendments to each
for sure.
item, and I guess we'll take that item to item and be able to offer amendments.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
planning commission approves it.
Thank you. We do have a time on the agenda for public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any? Can I get approval of the planning commission meeting minutes February? Oh, sorry.
Janice Gooden, 2125 Elena Drive. I missed an opportunity last month to speak about the Shepherd Plan. I didn't really read it until after the fact. So I want to commend the planning agency for all the hard work they do. And the part that I really like is the history, because most people just think about the zoning and all of that. So I was able to learn more about the Shepherd community. And I actually have been trying to connect with Malcolm Walker, who's the historian. So I just wanted to make a comment about that. So it's more than just the planning, the zoning, can learn a lot. And they are actually a very engaged community. So I just appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for being here.
Chairman, if I could say one thing on that. As we move forward in the county planning process that we're kicking off really this month, and we'll do the same with the city, we do want to use this as an opportunity to document some of the history in the county, different communities, different places that haven't really had any kind of historical information maybe provided in the planning process. And I know Karen has an intern that's working on that. Is this all right? So, I mean, again, I think it's really important as we go out in these places, I mean, you know, to use this as an opportunity. I think in some places in the county, they've done this really well, Soddy Daisy or somewhere else, but then there's other areas of the county where there's long history. And we just, you know, I think this is an opportunity to incorporate some of that history into the planning process.
Thank you. Can I get approval of the planning commission minutes February 13th, 2023? And the special called meeting of January 26, 2023. I have a motion, and did I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
45 minutes. That I've never seen that